All right, welcome in. It is 107.5 The Game. A little bit of a special edition interview here on your, I'm recording it on Thursday. You may be listening to this back at a different time, but if anybody listens to this station long enough, you know I love talking racing, and especially talking racing with people within the NASCAR world. I'm so excited today to be joined by Christopher Bell, driver of the number 20 Toyota Camry XSE for Joe Gibbs Racing. Hanging out in Columbia, going to the Fireflies game tonight. Welcome to town, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Now, you're just signing autographs. You're not throwing out the first pitch, right?
I am throwing out the first pitch. You are throwing
out the first pitch,
yep,
okay.
Yep.
That was not in the media release that they gave to us.
Well, that's really good. Thank you, Darlington Raceway, for not doing that. But yeah, I will be at the Fireflies game, hanging out, signing autographs, and attempting to throw out the first pitch.
Now, have you ever thrown out a first pitch before?
I have.
How did that go?
I don't know. I think it went okay. I threw out a first pitch at the St. Louis Cardinals game back in, it would have been 2016, 2017.
Okay.
So a little bit ago.
Okay.
Big sports fanatic,
nice.
But not much of a baseball guy. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I'll say, I guess growing up in Oklahoma, you didn't have a pro team there.
No.
And not everybody gets into college baseball, so.
Yeah, I grew up in Norman, Oklahoma, so football. My dad was a basketball coach. Football and basketball was what I was all about.
Well, we'll definitely get into that as we go along here. Got to congratulate you, the second place finish on Sunday. I know
Thank you.
Everybody wants to win, but I guess when SVG's dominating, you'll take a second as saying,
we were best in class.
I was the best of the rest at that point.
We were best in class last week.
What's it going to take to beat that guy? I mean, he is just unbelievable at these street nerd courses, and I get it. V8 supercars are very similar to the next gen car, and he's been doing this forever. But it's one thing to do it at like Chicago, where nobody had laps a couple years ago, but now Sonoma, Watkins Glen, where everybody else has more laps than him, and he's still out there just doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. They just they've hit on it, and clearly something they just got the magic right now, and what they're doing is so impressive, and I don't think it's we can't overstate how magnificent of a job that whole team's doing, and we see it time and time again throughout the ovals where you can have the fastest car, and the fastest car rarely wins the race. And SVG and his team, that 88 group, are doing such a good job of executing the races that they're showing up with the fastest car. He's clearly the best driver, and no yellows have come out at the wrong time to take him out of it. And he's been able to win, what is it now, 4 straight in a row. It's incredible, and what they're doing is it's a historic moment in our sport.
Now, I will say, I think you're perhaps maybe one of the most overlooked road course racers in the field. I know you won at Austin earlier on this year. You have the win at the Roval, but people don't really talk about you going into road course weekends, but you're so good, so consistent. Again, a second place finish this past weekend. They should never sleep on you on those type of tracks.
Yeah, it's been good for us for sure. We, my group, my 20 team has been doing really good, really since Next Gen came out, of being good on the road courses, and we've been strong, and we definitely circle those to, have good results, and we've been able to win a couple of them now.
So we'll get to a lot of things here. Obviously, talk about Darlington in a minute, what's going on with NASCAR and some general sports stuff as well. But you just passed your 200th start here recently. It's been 10 years since you won at Eldora, your first career Truck Series win. Does it feel like yesterday? It feels like time is flying by.
It really does. It really does. And that number, I remember, I'm at like 204, I think, right now as we speak.
Yep.
I remember whenever I hit 200, and I was really sad that weekend. I'm like, man, it just feels like it was yesterday. Like,
sure,
it happened so quick, and I do. I remember that Eldora truck race like it was yesterday. I remember my first Cup race like it was yesterday. My first Cup win. So it goes by so fast, and I think it's pretty cool because most people in the industry and fans around, they still think that I'm a young guy.
Sure.
And it catches them off guard. It caught me off guard. It caught my parents off guard when they're like, holy smokes, we're already at 200. That's pretty crazy.
Well, it's really funny. I was talking to our producer, Cale, before you walked in here, and he saw you coming in. He's like, wait, that's him? That's Christopher Bell? I'm like, yeah. He's like, how old is he? I'm like, he's 30. He's like, he looks like he's 18. And
I get that a lot.
Every time I'm watching a race and you come on TV, my wife would like, there's no way he's 30. He looks like he's 12. Like, you just have this youthfulness that could fool a lot of people, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'll take it. I'll use it as a compliment, that's for sure.
So we are here talking about Darlington, which is coming up here in a little over 2 weeks as we get set for the Southern 500 to kick off the NASCAR playoffs. And you're a dirt guy, and Darlington seems like the favorite track for a lot of dirt racers. Larson's good there, Reddick's good there. What is it about Darlington that fits the driving style of guys like y'all that come from that dirt background and really like to drive on the edge?
It's a good question. I don't really know, other than Darlington is a very high tire deg track, and what that means is that the cars really, really slide around whenever the tires start to wear out. So by the time you get a couple laps on your tires, the grip is going away, and you really have to slide the car in order to create the maximum pace, the fastest pace that you can. And I think dirt track racing, typically, if you excel at it, you get a really good natural ability of car control. And Darlington is a place where, if you're going to be fast, you're going to be sliding the car around. You got to put it right up against the wall because that's where the most amount of grip is. And it takes a lot of car control to do that consistently, and it seems to reward the dirt guys for sure.
Does the tire wear change from the spring to the summer because you're going to be dealing with a much hotter environment coming up here in a couple weeks as opposed to, it was warm back in the spring, but it was around 75, 80-ish degrees. Does that make a big difference in terms of tire wear?
So what's interesting is whenever you speak of like ambient conditions and track conditions, tire wear, there are some racetracks that can change drastically throughout ambient conditions and sunlight, daylight, and those places I think of like Charlotte Motor Speedway, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Those are two examples where if you race in the heat, it is super slippery and the tires give up a lot. Mm-hmm. And if you race at the nighttime, it has a lot of grip and it stays really grippy throughout the run. Darlington, Homestead, Richmond, where we're going to this week, those three places, the asphalt is so coarse that it's slick no matter what the ambient temperature is. It can be 50 degrees outside. You're still going to be sliding around. It's going to be, upwards of probably 90, 95. Whenever we go back there, you're going to be sliding around either way. So Darlington's a place that it stays pretty consistent no matter what the ambient conditions are.
Tyler Ed here talking with NASCAR driver Chris Bell about the upcoming Southern 500 here in a couple weeks to kick off the NASCAR playoffs. And it's already demanding enough with the aggressive nature of the track. You couple in the heat that you have to deal with. I was just telling Jeff a moment ago, staying down there on pit road before last year's Southern 500, I felt like I was standing on the surface of the sun because before the sun goes down on Labor Day weekend, it feels like it's 1,000 degrees.
It is hot.
Is that the worst race in car? And I know when the sun goes down, it cools off a little bit, but you still have the humidity. Is that the worst race in car of the entire year?
So there's certainly races throughout the year that you have circled that are going to be super physical, and that Southern 500 is it's definitely in the top 5. I'd say probably top 3. The Coca-Cola 600 is the same way at Charlotte. It starts in the daytime. That's Memorial Day weekend, so it's just starting to get hot outside. But yeah, that Southern 500, those first 150, 200 laps, they're brutal. It is so hot. You're just baking inside the car, and it's a super long race. Yeah. So the Coca-Cola 600 is our longest race by mileage. But whenever you factor in time, that Southern 500, the 500 miles at Darlington, you're just fighting the car around the track so much that it's probably our most demanding race that we have of the year.
Well, and you've come into the Cup Series in a time where 500-mile races have become an anomaly as opposed to the norm.
Yeah, they've dwindled for sure.
Right. Back in the day growing up, I went to plenty of 500-mile races at Atlanta back in the day where that was just the norm every single week, and now it's just the Daytona 500, the 2 Talladega races. Obviously, the Coke 600 is its own thing, and then the Southern 500. So these things aren't something you're doing on a week-in, week-out basis where if you're not prepared, especially for guys coming up from like the Xfinity Series, get used to running 250, 300 miles a weekend, that can really, really be a big change for you.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. So my first year in Cup was 2020, and the COVID pandemic hit and completely changed our course of life for everybody, but especially in NASCAR, where we just literally showed up to the races and raced. Yep. And 2020, we still had several 500-mile races, and with no practice, no qualifying, you just get in the car. There is no acclimation period. Like, you're just, okay, you're in your box for 500 miles. And it is a long time. It's a long race. The Southern 500 is exceptionally long because it's just such a hard racetrack to drive at. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in general, I love going to shorter races because it increases the intensity throughout the entire event. I love having, your couple marquee big events, the Southern 500, the Coke 600, Daytona 500. Those events are great, but I love the direction that the Cup Series has gone.
So you already have the Coke 600 to win a year ago. Rain shortened, but still, a win's a win. What would a Southern 500 mean for you, and where would that rank in terms of your Cup wins so far?
Yeah, it would be right at the top for sure. Those playoff wins are really big. I look at the Martinsville round of 8 win, the Homestead round of 8 win. Those are probably 2 of my top wins. And then the Crown Jewels, Coca-Cola 600. Darlington it hits home. So I think out of the Crown Jewels, that Southern 500 is probably the most prestigious inside of our industry because Darlington is a driver's track. Charlotte's a driver's track too. It's a little bit more of a marathon where this one is you're getting after it, and the best drivers typically shine at Darlington. So and Daytona is a super speedway, so we're going to leave that one out. But Southern 500 would be at the top.
How much differently is Darlington now with the next gen car compared? I know, it was only the very tail end of the Gen 6 era that you got to race it, but how different is it going from one car to the next at that track?
Yeah, so it has similarities. You drive the cars slightly different. The track itself races very similar, but one thing that was very different between the Gen 6 car and the Gen 7, the next gen that we have now, the bodies on the old cars were steel, and they were literally shaped to absolute perfection, to within millimeters of an inch. And our next gen car has a composite fiberglass body on it. So whenever it comes to Darlington, everybody runs right up against the wall. And nowadays, if you hit the wall, the body doesn't lose its shape. It doesn't lose downforce whenever you get against the wall. So it rewards a little bit more of an aggressive driving style, where that old car, the Gen 6 car, if you touch the wall with the steel body, you were in trouble. You're going to lose a bunch of car performance and a bunch of downforce. Again,
Tyler Ed talking with NASCAR driver Christopher Bell here on 107.5 The Game. As we get down these last couple of weeks of the regular season, you're still in position to climb a little bit in the regular season standings, earn some more of those coveted playoff points to actually help out a ton once you're going through the playoffs. How do y'all manage these next couple of weeks at Richmond and Daytona? Obviously going for the win, but making sure you guys are in position to get stage points while you're fighting guys like Hamlin and Larson, and as well as William Byron for those last couple of spots at the top of the regular season standings.
Yeah, we're in a thick battle right now. So myself and Larson are tied for 4th, and we're only a couple points behind Denny for 3rd. I think Blaney's only a couple points behind us, and then Chase Elliott's a little bit out. So I think we're basically racing for 3rd. And ultimately, I think it's going to come down to Daytona. So I look at Richmond Raceway, which is coming up this weekend. Larson's going to run well there. I should run well there. It's a really good racetrack for me. Denny's going to run really good there. So I expect all of us to score pretty good points going into Richmond. And leave it up to Daytona.
Yeah,
in Daytona, you never know. Someone's going to crash. You just hope it's not you.
I love the tradition of the 4th of July at Daytona, but for the way we do the format and playoffs now, having a regular season finale at a just chaotic place like Daytona, it is entertaining television.
It is. You just never know who's going to win that thing whenever it comes down to the end of it.
So since we are talking about the playoffs here, there's been a lot of conversation as of late of the future of the format, and there's been these meetings this year that you've gotten to be a part of as well, in terms of kind of trying to figure out what the next step is, because it seems like maybe this multi-stage elimination, Final Four, one race thing has maybe run its course. I know it's a process. What can you say about where things are at now, and do we know when we might get an answer on this sometime soon?
I don't know. I think they. I don't know. I would be surprised if there's a change for 2026 since we haven't heard about it already. But I think the general consensus is that we need more. We need a bigger sample size to crown a champion, and the playoffs have a lot of positive. They create a lot of drama and excitement. You were talking about Daytona. It can come down to anybody can get in the last minute, and we love the intensity of those cutoff races with the playoffs as well. But I mean, I would be for a bigger sample size in that final round, and. Yeah, we'll see what happens, but they haven't said anything yet.
So if it were up to you to create your ideal championship playoff kind of format, what is Christopher Bell coming up with?
Well, in my opinion, I think it needs to be year-round points, and I think that's how you celebrate greatness. That's how you create superstars in the sport, is by having a true champion of the sport who is the best driver throughout your full season of points. I don't believe that'll be in the cards, but yeah, I think that is the most fair and true and real way to do it.
Other changes that are kind of on the horizon here, and you and many drivers often advocate for adding horsepower, which they are finally looking into. Elton Sawyer did say in recent weeks on SiriusXM that it's something they're looking at for 2026. It's probably going to be a minimal increase, but for somebody, again, that's advocated for it, what are the positives you see, and how could that help out the next gen at places like short tracks and road courses?
Yeah, well, we just want the cars to be harder to drive, and we want there to be more disparity between good drivers, good cars, bad cars, good laps, and bad laps. And the more that the less horsepower you have, the easier it is to drive the car, number one. And then if you have mistakes, it's easier to recover. You just don't have a bunch of lap time variance. And lap time variance, that's how you create passing. If everybody's going the same speed, it's like going down the highway at cruise control set, and you're stuck. You can't pass them.
Sure.
But yeah, I think if we increase the horsepower, the mistakes are going to get penalized more. You're going to be able to capitalize and make runs on people. You're going to punish the tires more because you're going to have more horsepower. You can spin the tires easier. I think it will make passing easier. Now, I would love to get, a lot more horsepower, and I think we need a lot more horsepower, and I don't think that's feasible. But anything that they give us is going to be a better step.
Well, I've always been intrigued, and we keep hearing that at some point in the next couple of years, you go to kind of a new engine model that may introduce like hybridization or something along those lines. I feel like, and again, I'm not an engineer myself, you'd be able to answer this question better than me. It feels like maybe that's where something like that can come in, where you have your base motor still around 650 to 700, but if you have that electrical component, that can maybe get you the extra 200 to 300 horsepower that y'all are looking for.
Yeah,
maybe.
So I haven't heard a single word about that yet, other than through the media, which I'm sure that's the same stuff that you're seeing. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for any way to get more power in the cars. So hopefully that's on the horizon to increase the power tremendously. So
you mentioned you're a big sports fan, again, from Norman, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Oklahoma Sooner fan, as we were talking about before we started recording here. And the Sooners are coming in here in the middle of October to play the Gamecocks. And it's a make or break year for Brent Venables. Things are not holding up to the traditions of OU football in these last handful of years, unfortunately.
It's been interesting. Yeah, we've been on quite the ride since Lincoln Riley left. When was that? That
would have been going into the 2022 season.
Yeah. So, yeah, Brent Venables. We have a guy in our company who loved Brent Venables. He was at what? It was
Clemson as the DC.
Clemson.
Yep.
He was at Clemson, defensive coordinator, and he was bragging about him, saying he's going to be your guy. He's going to get you back on track. And it's been a rocky road to say the least, but I'm excited to see what the future holds, and I'm always pulling for my Sooners. So hopefully we have a strong season. But yeah, it's SEC's tough, as you guys know. It is very tough, and you have to be great. You have to be great, and that's the way it should be.
Do you have a favorite all-time Sooners player?
Man, I loved Adrian Peterson back in the day.
He was a good one.
I loved Adrian Peterson. He was just a freaking beast. So I'm gonna go with Adrian Peterson. Love Bob Stoops too. Obviously, Bob Stoops is the legend, and yeah.
Now on the other side of the sports spectrum, you've had the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Quite a
pretty good year for them. What was the run up to the championship like from your perspective?
Oh, dude, it was awesome. I remember watching last year or the year before, whenever kind of everyone was bought in and thought that this was the year, and then they got beat by Dallas in the playoffs. That was a bummer. And my dad, he was a high school basketball coach, and I would talk to him. I'd be like, "What do you think? What do you think?" He's like, "Oh, it could go either way. They could be fired up and come back hungrier than ever, or they could be down." And through the regular season, they were just so strong. And then we get into the playoffs, and it was awesome. I hated to see Indiana go out the way they did with Halliburton getting injured there in that Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
But what do they say? A win's a win.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I'll take it. I'm happy with my Thunder.
And how many games did you get to go to any games during that run?
No, I got to watch a lot of them on TV, but I didn't get to go to any of them. So.
Well, it seems like they're going to be in position to win for a long time to come. So I think they're going to have ample opportunity to do that. It wasn't like hey, everybody comes in and they leave immediately after the championship happens.
I think we're in a good spot right now.
So basketball, college football, any other sports that you that take up your time?
I mean, I love watching NFL too. I don't really have a team that I'm super invested in. I love players.
Okay.
Being a driver in the NASCAR Cup Series, like I don't know, I feel connected or like emotionally connected to quarterbacks and
Sure.
what they go through. So, I enjoy watching NFL football and kind of get connected to players more so than teams.
I guess if the Panthers were better, then it'd be a little bit easier to root for them. They're in a They're a bit of a rough spot right now, so it's not as easy to hop on that bandwagon, I guess.
They are. The only time I go to Panthers games is whenever my best friend's team's in town. So
yeah. Well, if you need to look for a favorite player from the Panthers, he played here, Xavier Leggett. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. Very thick Southern accent and a great personality and a good player too. But if you're looking for a favorite player, I would recommend him.
I appreciate that.
So as we kind of look around here to other things going on in the racing world, again, you're a dirt guy. I wanted to ask this. Where do you fall on the Kyle Larson-David Gravel rivalry that's going on right now?
Man, you know about everything, don't you?
Dude, I live and breathe the racing. Like,
yeah, I love it.
I do sports talk radio every single day, but like NASCAR's my drug of choice, so to speak. And I love any time I can get to talk racing with you guys. So yes, I'm very deep in the weeds.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great for the sport, honestly. I love David. I have a ton of respect for David, and he's obviously at the top of his game and you know, the one of, if not the marquee sprint car guy, and Larson is at the top of his game on the NASCAR side. I think it's great for the rivalry, and there's just so many levels, right? So you have sprint car guy versus outsider pavement NASCAR guy. You have high limit versus World of Outlaws. So I think it's great drama. It's great TV. It makes it entertaining, and I'm always tuned in whenever they're racing each other.
I heard Stenhouse say that Larson and David are the same type of driver, but Gravel gets more frustrated and flustered than Larson does. And when you hear like their interviews after they have an encounter on track, you kind of see that.
Yeah, David definitely gets fiery. Kyle, he's different. You know, he drives so hard and he's so calm all the time.
Yeah, I know. He's, I've been a fan of his for a while now, and he just kind of stays even keel. Even when somebody like Bubba Wallace is trying to fight him, he's not even getting flustered by that. It's pretty amazing.
Yep.
So, and he's done something a lot of guys do in terms of like scouting talent, especially from the dirt ranks. As you're looking down at these guys coming up, are there any names that you're keeping an eye on of, hey, this is a guy that could potentially break his way into NASCAR in a couple years?
Well, yeah, I mean, so Toyota Racing Development has done such a good job of creating their driver program. And I actually started running micro sprints, which are like this entry level dirt cars, at Millbridge Speedway there in Charlotte. And Brent Cruz was one that I raced against as a kid growing up. And now he's finally getting to break through into NASCAR. He's run a couple Truck Series races.
Yep.
He's in the TRD driver development program. I think he's going to be a rock star.
Yeah. How did he buy his own team? He's like 17, right? Yeah. I know he was running with you in the trucks last week.
More of a joke than anything. I don't know if he necessarily owns his own team, but, yeah, I think he's going to be a rock star.
Of course, a lot of news in the NASCAR world revolving around Connor Zilisch this past weekend and his little slip. When you score your next win, which I hope is very soon,
I will not be getting.
You will not be standing on the window.
I'm curious to see who the next person is that stands on the window, or the car for that matter. But man, I've won plenty of races, and I've never thought of that, like the potential of crashing after the race, falling off the car, and now that happened, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I won't be standing on the car anytime soon.
I remember Cole Custer winning an Xfinity race a couple years ago and kind of slipped, but kind of caught himself. So it was more like a funny thing than anything else. But yeah, Connor, I thought he was going to break his foot in the process too with the way he kind of twisted. But I'm glad it wasn't as bad as it looked initially, because I
couldn't watch it.
That was scary.
I couldn't watch it. Everyone was, it broke the internet, right?
Of course.
And everyone was saying, oh my gosh, texting me, did you see this? Did you see this? And I couldn't watch it at all. So I'm like, I heard about it. I'm like, man, that's terrible. That is literally terrible.
There is something about Trackhouse drivers and going viral that I've been watching. So you had the Hail Melon a couple years ago when SVG came in and won Chicago. Suarez wins the 3-wide race last year at Atlanta, and now Zilisch falls. Like every year, for some reason, those guys go viral. I can't figure out why.
Yeah, this one's for the bad reasons, but yeah, it's they're getting the attention, which is good.
We're heading off to Richmond this upcoming weekend. Again, 2 races to go in the regular season. What are we looking for? What's your feel on Richmond ahead of Saturday night?
Yeah, Richmond's a good one for me, good one for my team. We expect to be strong, and hopefully, we need some playoff points. Everybody's saying the same thing, and the more you get, the better off you are. So this is a great opportunity for the 20 team to cash in on some bonus points. It starts on Friday with qualifying. Qualifying has become so important in the Cup Series that, if you don't qualify well, it makes it tough to get those bonus points in the stages. So we're focused on trying to qualify well and have a great race on Saturday.
And you guys came out of the gate hot with 3 wins in a row at the beginning of the season. You thought, man, we're probably going to win like 15 races this year, and it's been a struggle. Not a struggle. You guys have been running well, but haven't got back to victory lane. I think that kind of illustrates how challenging the sport is and how much parity there is in the Cup Series now with the next gen car. That you can win 3 races in a row, and then we're talking months and months later and still trying to find your way back to victory lane.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt we haven't been performing as well as the standards that we hold ourselves to and what we expect. So one thing that I'm really, really proud of with this group is that we always find a way to show up whenever it matters the most. And I go back to our Martinsville win back in 2022 to lock into the Final Four. That was a really bad racetrack for us, and we showed up with our backs against the wall. The most important time of the year, they brought the heat. And we had the fastest car, won the race. It was awesome. Same thing at Homestead Miami Speedway a couple years ago as well. So, we haven't been doing super hot. We want to be doing better. We want to be winning more. But I know that whenever the pressure's on, my team will show up.
Well, I'll tell you this. You're sitting in that seat right there. And back in the spring, Austin Cindric came by and previewed the spring Darlington race. And about a month later, he ended his winless streak. Bubba Wallace was on my show earlier on this year. He ended his long winless streak a couple weeks ago. So when you come on my show, you have an opportunity to get back to victory lane very soon.
I would love a Southern 500 win.
So whenever you win again, which maybe as soon as this Saturday at Richmond, just remember, the luck of being on my show helped you get there.
I love it.
Well, Christopher, I know you gotta run, get to the Fireflies game. Thanks so much for hanging out and talking some racing and talking some sports, and good luck at Richmond this weekend.
I appreciate that. I guess we won't see you in Darlington.
Yeah, I
will see
wish.
Lots of fans.
If I could be in 2 places at one time, I would be, but the job that pays the bill says I have to be at football that day.
Southern 500, be there August 31st.
Looking forward to it. That's Christopher Bell, driver, the number 20 Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing. You're listening to 107.5 The Game.